Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host Saeed. We do want to thank you for joining us tonight, Thursday the 15th of December 2022. It's Christmas in the air, Trinidad and Tobago. What are we going to do? So, remember, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Real Talk with Saieed Ali on Facebook viewers. Like and share as we go live. Those of you on YouTube, Titi Real Talk, subscribe, hit the bell, and you would know when we go live. So Trinidad and Tobago, we are also trending on the #1 social media platform in the world, and that is TikTok. You know, everybody loves to go on TikTok to share everything. Food, party, beaches, parties, you name it, you name it, you name it. Saieed Ali Real Talk on TikTok, like, share, add, whatever, and we are there. So Trinidad and Tobago, now tonight there is something that I need to share with you all concerning the Sugar's market. The vendors are owing the borough almost $1 million. Almost $1 million. Now, this money that they are paying would help to keep up the Sugar's market. So tonight, I want to hear from you tonight. Do you think the borough should close down the Sugar's market? Now, this is going to sound like we don't need the market. But ask yourself, $5 per day or $10 per day for a vendor selling in the market, is that hard? Is that hard? So I want to hear from you tonight. 238-6716 is our phone line. What do you think the borough should do concerning the Sugar's market and the debt or the debit that is being owed to the borough? I want to hear from you tonight. That discussion is up for debate tonight. You are a vendor in the market, $5 or $10 per day, and that now you couldn't pay that as your daily rental, but you're complaining about the facilities in the market. So I want to hear what you have to say. Should the borough close down the market? Should they send letters to this market that money are being owed to them? Should the borough suspend them? You tell me. You tell me, almost $1 million. You tell me, what do you think the borough should do? So when you hear we complain about this wrong and that wrong and the next wrong, ask yourself, where's the money coming from? Now, $1 million is being owed to the borrower by the vendors in the market. $1 million. $5 or $10 per day they can't pay. But you're quarreling. So I want to hear from you tonight. 2386716. What should be done? As we move along tonight, Paria Fuel Trading Company, acting technical lead Katrina Balkisoon, has admitted that the company had no plan to rescue 4 divers who eventually died in a tragic accident at its Point-à-Pied facility on February 25th. It was not made to have a rescue. Balkisoon told attorney Prakash Ramadhan after he asked exactly when Paria made a decision to execute a rescue to save the men. Listen to this.
When was the decision made by Paria to execute a rescue to save the lives of these men?
It was not made to have a rescue.
Thank you. Let me hear you. Paria did not make a decision to rescue the men. That is it. Thank you. Now.
You all heard that? Earlier on, Balkisoon also broke down in tears on the witness stand after being asked by Chairman Jeremy Lynch if the decision to enter the pipeline and save the 4 divers would have been different if it were her own family who had been stuck there. She said, sending men into the pipeline was a balancing act, and it poses many risks to those who would have been involved in the rescue operation. When asked by the Commissioner of Inquiry Counsel, Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, whether Paria Fuel had taken quick and urgent action regarding the incident, Balkisoon agreed they had. To this, Chairman Lynch told Balkisoon, it might be a different balancing act if it was your father in the pipe or your son. After this response, Balkisoon broke down in tears. Look at this.
Did you consider that you all took quick and urgent action?
We took quick and urgent, because quick and urgent action to try to de-risk going inside a pipeline that had oil, right? And also, we did not know what was the cause of the incident, right? So if it is, I could turn it around and say, Paria also took action by telling NMCS not to dive. Paria also took action to say, listen, hold up. Are you sure you want to dive in there? Because these are the risks too, eh? Someone's lives could be lost, eh? It's a balancing act, right?
It might be a different balancing act if it was your father that was in the pipe or your son. I think we'll take a break then.
No, that's not fair.
No, is there an objection to that?
Different strokes for different folks, as they say in Trinidad. Paria's attorney Peter Gilbertson, SC, intervened, saying it was only fair that Balkisoon will be extended the same fairness that LMCS witnesses were afforded. This provoked an apology from Lynch. However, Lynch stated that he was simply asking whether or not there were They were willing people prepared to enter the pipe, and whether that was factored into deciding to prevent people from going into the pipe. Listen to this.
I say straight away, it is not my intention to upset anybody, and I have been meticulous in trying to avoid doing that. And of course, I'm very sorry that you are upset by this, Ms. Balkisoon. But part of the risk analysis must include the person being willing to go into a pipe and take a greater risk. I cannot divorce myself from the fact that if it were my son, I would take a risk that I might not if it were not my son. And that is a perfectly reasonable, just a moment, Ms. Balkisoon, it is a perfectly reasonable factor to take into account. And I simply ask in the question whether or not there were willing people prepared to enter the pipe, and that risk, whether that was factored into deciding whether to prevent people from going into the pipe. That is all I am interested in ascertaining. It's certainly not designed, and I regret deeply that Ms. Balkisoon is upset by it, but it does seem to me that it is a relevant factor, because everybody who has a child or a father would wish to make a different decision to the professional who may not be prepared to enter a pipe. You might be prepared to risk your life far quicker if it were your son or your father than you would if it was a stranger. That is a factor.
You all heard that? Balkisoon said, when she arrived at the scene, she spoke with LMCS diver, the diving supervisor, Andrew, who told her there were divers and commercial equipment to do a rescue. However, she added that she was not in charge and did not have the authority to make a decision, and had to speak to Piper, who said to stand down. Further question, if enough was being done by Paria to save the divers, Balkisoon stated she did the best she could. So listen to this.
With all the procedure and all the plans and everything that you had, 4 men died. Do you think that you and your procedure and your plans and everything was adequate?
If you're asking me if I think the IMT plan was adequate?
All of it.
You're asking me if the IMT plan was adequate?
All of it.
All of what?
All of Paria's plans, resources, IMT plans. Do you think it's adequate?
I think what we did, I think we did the best we could have done.
So,
right? And, well,
Let her finish.
yes.
right? I think we did the best that we could have done.
Yeah.
Right? That is what I think.
The best.
Let me finish, right? And let me see, right? I've been thinking about it for quite some time. Every day, is there something else, right?
Look, we appreciate that, you know. You're a human being, as Mr. Peterson reminded me.
So what you're saying is that ever since you have been searching your own mind to see whether there was something more you could have done. Have I got that right? Yes. Can we move on then?
Thank you, of course. How would you rate rate yourselves on that day?
Against which yardstick? Against saving a rescuer's life? I think I did well.
Of course.
Right?
You saved the world and allowed 4 to perish. That is the equation, isn't it?
So there you have it. Caller, good night.
Very good evening to you, Mr. Saieed.
To you, my friend.
So a commission of inquiry is supposed to unearth and bring out all information, all evidence, everything, and then the commission would make further requirements and whatnot. But I have noticed a trend with Gilbert Peterson and company, who is representing Paria, behaving like defense attorneys, right? Trying to make it look that LMCS and the divers was at fault. But I don't know if people paying close attention, but I observed something the other day, or I listened to something when Nari Alfonso was examining, I can't remember the light-skinned Trinidadian Syrian-looking guy name, but he was supposed to be the diving supervisor. And what he said, and the records could prove me correct, that one of the reasons they was hesitant to probably go in is because they believed that there was radiation in the pipe. So I want to know, did they test the pipe before for radiation, before anybody went in? One. And how you know at that point there was possible radiation in the pipe? Radiation is something you have to actually go in with a device and test.
Correct.
You cannot do it remotely. Just like when Chernobyl in Russia had the meltdown many, many years ago, hundreds of miles right or wrong had radiation. Nothing couldn't grow, animals, people, everything was a real mess. And from time to time up to this day, technical people would go in, suit up and whatnot with their devices to check to see the level of radiation. So they couldn't say that there was worried about if there was radiation in the pipe, because how they could prove, did anybody went and test? Did anybody went and test in the beginning? And Miss Balki soon? I don't see why you cry now, woman. It's too late to cry now. It was a fair question from the chairman, a very, very fair question. And if it was Gilbert Peterson's son, he would have been singing a different song. All the best.
Thank you, my friend. So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to continue on the Paria operation after this.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Realtor Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Realtor Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
Tis the season, tis the reason for live Parang entertainment every Friday from now until Christmas from 7 to 8 p.m.
Good night, what do you know? We having fun. It's the Christmas season. It's time for giving, loving, sharing. What is it?
Yeah, yes man, I'm a parandero. I sing so and shot me also. So my brown no shooting bego. So my brown no send me loco. I'm a parandero. I sing so and shot me also. Just reason them what I drink your cook them.
Real Parang, Real Talk with Saieed. Hiya!
Realtalk Credit Union stores are now open to members of the public. We are located at the Realtalk Group of Companies building at number 14 Caroni Savannah Main Road. Opening hours are from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us via telephone at 238-6716 or 231-6219 to book your appointment. You can also find us on Facebook at Realtalk Credit Union.
Welcome back to Real Talk, viewers. Caller, good night.
Good night, Saieed.
Go right ahead, my friend.
You see all this fiasco with Paria? Isn't the creation of Paria and all these other companies because of the illness, of the wickedness of this government to save one of their financier and friend to close on Petrotrade? You see where it started out, how evil this man's action is that caused the lives of these people? Secondly, sir, you know, I don't understand our religious leaders. How could you support a man in the call for a day of prayer by an evil man? A man who suppresses religion, a man, you know, who does everything to keep, you know, God out of sight. A man who says he went to Likoto to kill a former prime minister, sir. How could our religious leader, how could he say that we must respect our leaders? When Kamala Prasad Visasa was prime minister, look at the nasty thing what this man talked about her. Email gate and all. Did he respect leaders like that? Leadership is something, respect is not something that you could demand. You cannot bully people to respect you as he is a bully, sir. You have to earn it. And I doubt how much of his own supporters have any genuine respect for him. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, my friend. So as we continue, Paria Fuels Terminal Operation Manager Colin Piper has stated that the worst thing a person can do during an emergency response is act. These words and them, I really don't want to say these words and them on television. Seriously. Piper stated that the rescue operation was paused so he could get a better understanding of the situation being faced. However, while it was a difficult decision to take, Piper said it was a decision that had to be taken. Question by counsel to the Commissioner of Inquiry. Senior Counsel Ramesh Lawrence Maraj, Piper said the team did not know the condition they were facing in the pipeline or what had caused the accident. Piper added that he took the decision at the point in time to pause because they needed to assist. Listen to this.
So in an emergency response, the worst thing you can do in an emergency response is to act instinctively and to act emotionally. That is the worst, that is the absolute way you should not respond in an emergency. And definitely in this case, you don't respond like that in an emergency. And therefore, I had no choice but to say, stop. We need to assess. We need to understand what is going on. So I took that decision. As difficult as that decision was, don't believe for 1 minute that was a simple decision. That was an extremely difficult decision. But at that point, it was the decision that had to be taken.
Kola, good night.
Good night, my lord. How are you going? Hello?
Prem.
Yeah, man. Hi there, man. How are you going? Everything all right?
I good. How are you?
Everything all right by me. I need some help. I need I'm panning by. Under some real pressure still too, boy.
Come tomorrow and check me.
Which part?
Karen Savannah in Sugarlands.
Okay then, all right. Thanks.
Okay. This prompted Maharaj to ask, if you need to assess what? You wanted a method statement. You wanted a risk assessment. Piper seemed thrown off by the statement, but stated that he believed that was a right decision to take. He added that the worst thing to do in any emergency response is to act emotionally, and noted that he had no choice but to say stop in order to assess what was going on. Listen to this.
At that point in time, sir, I told Mr. Harishan, listen, we don't know the conditions in the pipeline, The Coast Guard had also indicated we don't know the conditions in the pipeline. Clearly, at that time, we did not know what had caused the accident. We did not know at that time what the condition in the pipeline was. We did know that there was oil in the pipeline, right? We did understand at that time there were men in the pipeline. So we didn't know where the men were in the pipeline. We didn't know how much oil was in the pipeline. So there were several unknowns to us in that pipeline. This is a confined space. This is not an ordinary space, sir. This is a confined space of quite a magnitude, right? So this is a 30-inch pipeline, which is a quarter of a mile long. That is an oil pipeline, a fuel oil pipeline. That is not a simple space for someone to go in for any reason. So I took the decision at that point in time to pause what I was at to pause because we needed to assess.
You needed to assess what you wanted.
If I may finish.
What you wanted, a method statement?
No, sir, if I may finish.
You wanted a risk assessment?
Let him finish what he has to say.
Piper said when LMCS diver Christopher Boudram, the lone survivor from the incident, came out the pipeline, he was covered in oil and in a state of trauma. He stated that Boudram kept saying, they are in the pipeline, to go get them. However, Piper said Mr. Boudram was still in a traumatized place.
You knew then that Christopher Boudram had come out of the pipeline about an hour before?
Yes, sir.
You said you wanted to know the condition in the pipeline.
Yes, sir.
Did you make urgent efforts to get that condition from Mr. Boudram?
When Mr. Boudram came ashore, right, he was brought out and he was covered in oil, right? Mr. Boudram was placed on our LMC, on our launch, Paria's launch, and he was taken ashore. He was rushed ashore, right? During that time, they were trying, we had one of our safety guys talking to Mr. Boudram. The information coming to me, right, from on the scene was that he said, the men are there, the men in the pipeline, right, and go get them. When Mr. Boudram was brought ashore on the launch, you'll understand Mr. Boudram was in that pipeline for some 2.5 hours, right? Mr. Boudram, therefore, would have been in a traumatic condition. When he was brought ashore, we had our safety person there, Mr. Yearwood, to receive him ashore. Mr. Yearwood tried speaking to Mr. Boudram, and Mr. Boudram just kept repeating, they're in the pipeline, go get them, right? The GMRTT ambulance, right, he was moved very quickly from the launch, up the launch control, and I know, Commissioner, you had visited, so you may be able to envisage what I'm saying. From the launch, they took him off the launch and rushed him into the ambulance. And within a minute or so, Mr. Boudram was out of there. Mr. Yearwood did request to the GMRTT EMTs for somebody to accompany Mr. Boudram, and he was denied. He did try in that little moment speaking to Mr. Boudram, and all he got from Mr. Boudram was the in the pipeline, right? He did not believe Mr. Boudram was, well, he was not, Mr. Boudram was not clear of time and place. So he was still, he was in a traumatized state, right?
Piper was also asked if he knew that he made a decision that would mean life and death. But he said the decision was taken in consideration of the lives of the rescuers as well. He added that previous study shows that rescuers can die in confined space. Trinidad and Tobago, it is getting very, very interesting as the days go by. Very, very interesting. The truth is coming out as to whether they made the proper decision or not to stop the rescue or to continue the rescue. Imagine we are talking about the lives. Lives of 4 individuals. This is a tragedy that is going to stay with us as citizens in Trinidad for a very, very long time. A very, very long time. Moving along, Minister of Finance Colin Mimwood have stated that increase in fuel price had a small effect on inflation compared to the increased fares provided by some transport provider. He made this statement in response to a question from Naparima MP Rodney Charles in the House of Representatives on Wednesday. In its monetary policy report last month, the central bank said the most significant impact on core inflation is anticipated to come from the pass-through of higher fuel price in the transportation sub-index. Mimwood described Charles slammed or claimed that the increase in fuel price caused an increase in inflation as typical of the UNC's inability to understand how anything works. He added that the increase had a small effect on the inflation number, but the increase in taxi fares is what caused the problem. Listen to this.
Madam Speaker, it is always unfortunate when honorable members opposite do no research, do not read, do not bother to understand anything, check nothing, misquote, misinterpret, misstate, and also make statements that make no sense. The actual increase had a very small effect on the inflation number, but subsequent increases in taxi fares and transport rates is what caused the problem. That is what happened, and unfortunately, that is what happens in this country. The cost of fuel for a trip may go up by 10 cents, but the taxi fare may go up by $1, $5, $10. Unfortunately, that is what happens in Trinidad and Tobago.
What is your comment now, Trinidad and Tobago? If fuel is raised by $1 per litre, Mimwood, what do you expect taxi drivers to do? What do you expect taxi drivers to do? Raise it by 10 cents per litre? You want a taxi driver that would use almost, let's say from Shogunas to San Fernando. Let's say you burn 5 litres. Just saying. 5 litres to go and 5 litres to come. That's $10 on a trip. So Mimwood, if they burn $10 more on a trip, do you think the taxi drivers should raise their fare by 10 cents? Come on, Mimwood. I want to hear you respond to this. I want to hear you respond to Trinidad and Tobago. If taxi fare is increased by $10 back and forth, you burn 5 litres to go, which is $5, and 5 litres to come back. That's $10. How much do you want to increase the fare by, Mimwood? 10 cents? You have to be illiterate. You have to be illiterate. It's obvious. If fuel price goes up, cost of living will go up, Mimwood. My 10-year-old child could tell you that in birth. So you see, when you have people like you all in power, trying to come and tell these citizens, well, you know, we raise fuel price by $1 per liter, but you could raise your fare by 10 cents per trip. You have to be the most uneducated man in having Trinidad and Tobago. The most uneducated man coming to Parliament to make such a statement. And you expect now, we the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to swallow that. That is why I have people like me now, but will stand against when you bring out nonsense like that. Call a good night.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Go right ahead, my friend.
Saieed, you know there's the saying, square peg and round hole?
Correct.
That is a Rowley and the bunch of ministers is right now. Because remember, no, it's not about finance, and people don't understand what's going on in this country.
They don't.
The man running the economy to the ground, and people don't understand what's going on here. You know. How you can come and make a statement so foolish, right? I tell you, they are only trying to fool people who don't understand what's going on. I tell you that every week. I tell you that. I want to ask a question. I want to ask you a question tonight, right? You tell me if Massey could generate $47 million to purchase a chain of supermarkets in foreign. I want to find out where the US coming from, the foreign currency. I want to know where the currency coming from, because when you're trying to get 50,000, 100,000 US size to bring in a container, the bank's not giving you it, buddy. You have to buy the US black market. So where them get $47 million to buy a chain of supermarkets, buddy? This is what I'm trying to find out here now tonight. Anybody can answer me this question. Is the finance minister furnishing these people with any amount of US currency to do their business, while the other US and the citizenry in this country have to fight up and go black market to buy the US currency? This is what I'm trying to find out. Saeed, I noticed walking distance from where your studio is, a man get murdered in a home invasion site. It was really unfortunate. I don't know if you know what's going on in the area where you live.
Yeah.
Right. Let me tell you something, right? You see everybody that's dying with this home invasion, robberies and all these things, everything is on Farmer Keith Rowley's hand, because he appointed Minister of National Security, and he put McDonald Jacob there. And these fellas and them failing everybody in the countryside. Or you could tell me that they have an operation going on in Port of Spain called Operation Gear, where they take the police service and a vast majority of officers to man people's business and all the streets in Port of Spain side. What about the rest of the country? What about in Carrie Savannah Road if a robbery going on? When you call the police, they have no vehicle, they have no police to attend to you and your situation. Because everybody right now in Port of Spain guarding everybody's business, guarding everybody's song, walking on the streets. When you watch the streets in Port of Spain, there are 3 and 4 police. When you ask for police station gunners, you can't get police. You know the said man that gets shoot and kill in your own outside. Make a report the week before, and police never come by the man's house to take the report. He has to go in the station and make the report. And then the next week they come and kill the man in your own house. That's fair thing here. Anyway, sir, you enjoy your night.
Thank you, my friend. It's such a sad thing. That's my neighbor right there in a couple of houses away. Now, Imbert, he reminded MPs that this year the fuel subsidy liability for the government was approximately $2 billion in 2023. It could have been $1 billion or more. Now, the ministry also reminded MPs that the fuel subsidy is taxpayers' money and added that MP Charles' request for VAT to be removed from the sale of fuel cannot be entertained. Listen to it.
Madam Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to point out that in 2022, the fuel subsidy liability for the government was somewhere in the vicinity of $2 billion, and in 2023, it could be $1 billion or more. The VAT collected on fuel is less than $200 million, and therefore, the VAT is a fraction of the taxpayers' money, because the fuel subsidy is taxpayers' money. So you're taking from one pocket to put into another pocket. It's over $1 billion we spend on fuel subsidy, and therefore I am afraid that that request cannot be entertained.
But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about this fuel and the increase with the rippling effect that we face on a daily basis after this.
Real Talk Credit Union stores are now open to members of the public. We are located at the Real Talk Group of Companies building at number 14 Coroni Savannah Main Road. Opening hours are from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us via telephone at 238-6716 or 231-6219 to book your appointment. You can also find us on Facebook at Real Talk Credit Union.
Tis the season, tis the reason for live Parang entertainment every Friday from now until Christmas from 7 to 8 p.m.
Good night, what do you know? We having fun. It's the Christmas season. It's time for giving, loving, sharing. What is it?
Yeah, this man, I'm a parandero. I sing so can shut me also. So I bring no shoot bego. So I bring no send me loco. I'm a parandero. I sing so can shut me also. Just reason them, but I think you move them.
Real Parang, Real Talk with Saieed. Hiya!
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Real Talk Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Real Talk Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Coroni Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Paria Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
Welcome back to Real Talk, viewers. In the greatest darkness, there is a dawn to be had, where the words of Prime Minister Dr. Saieed Ali shared with the nation as he hosted a National Day of Prayer, the third of its kind to occur since the COVID-19 pandemic. Hold on. Caller, good night.
Good night, Mr. Saheed.
Go right ahead.
I have the inquest in the divers. I believe that OSHA supposed to head that. You understand? From beginning to end.
Correct.
You understand?
Yes.
And they're giving other people, allowing other people to control. And that is wrong. OSHA is safety. And everything that we do is safety from the kitchen to when we die. Have a nice night.
Thank you, my friend. So now, this National Day of Prayer would have been the third since the pandemic. As the countries continue to struggle in the face of rising crime wave, where murder have reached record figures, Dr. Rowley urged citizens to keep their faith strong regardless of their denominations and teaching. He stated that without faith, we are lost. Listen to our MP.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been encouraged to listen. We have experienced the hurt. But we also were told that in the great darkness, there's dawn to be had. This is our sense of strength. It's called faith. in our Christian community, it's called faith. Without faith, we're lost. We have to have faith in ourselves, faith in our neighbors, faith in our teachers, faith in our doctors, faith in our leaders, faith in our country as we have faith in our gods.
Now, that is a strong statement. Faith. We must believe, we must have faith of better days to come. All well and good, nothing wrong with believing in faith, all well and good. But when we have the finance minister raising fuel price at $1 per liter and expect taxi drivers to raise their fare by 10 cents per liter, how the hell are we going to use faith? Somebody say something. Somebody say something. Do we expect things to get better like that? Are we going to have faith that one day Mbud will get up and he will reduce the price? Think about it. Think about it. Let me tell you something. The world that we live in today, it's real. The decision that Mbud took was a real decision to raise fuel price by $1 and expect taxi drivers to raise a trip by 10 cents. Donkey logic, they call that. Those maths will add 1 equal 3. That is the type of maths that they are throwing out to us. Let me tell you something. Here's the reason why I hear, you know. This is the reason why I am here, you know. So when they come out with their foolishness, there must be some strong individual to go against them. Where is the opposition? What does the opposition take on this? Caller, good night.
Good night, Mr. Said. Great program as usual.
Thank you.
Well, the citizens thank God for your program. We have faith in your program, and with your program, we have faith that the PNM, this notorious gang, will be out of office very soon. And I want to say I'm very disappointed with those religious leaders that go on to support that man and have gone to priority. They should boycott that and tell this man who destroyed this country and have this country where it is today, destroy lives in this country. Look at the roads. They should tell him fix the road first. They couldn't travel. They can't travel to come to church with him, to celebrate and have faith. You understand? So I am disappointed with those religious leaders right now. And with reference to this inquiry, the Paria, I'm watching this closely. The chairman is paid by the state. Who hired the chairman? And in this country, nothing good happens. So everybody have to act the role well there. The chairman have to act his role very well and make it feel that he is really looking after this thing carefully, just like the attorneys and them there. So we're going to keep an eye on this, and I am certain that nothing will come out of this, and they will blame somebody for this. LMCS or one of them will be blamed for this situation in this country. The religious leaders should tell the PM to fix the street lights in the country, fix the road. WhatsApp dig up this road and destroy the road. Rowley now know that, you know. I think what last week you highlighted on your program. Rowley now know is WhatsApp who destroyed the roads. He now knowing that. And he going to have WhatsApp fix it in a timely, a quick time. And now he going to look into it and have WhatsApp fix when they destroy the roads in the country. I'm so angry. I'm so angry with these religious leaders. Mr. Said, you keep up the great work, greatest real talk, and you.
Thank you, my friend. You see, I am here dealing with real issues, you know. Real issues I am dealing with, you know. I am not here to tell you about faith, you know. I am here to tell you, you are in a position to fix it. That is what I am here to tell you. I am here to tell Mbud that when you hear you raise $1 per liter on fuel, taxi drivers cannot raise 10 cents. That is not faith, that is reality. So don't get tied up or carried away and mixed up with faith and reality. Don't get mixed up. The PM stated that TNT is now experiencing hopeful, but not certainly the end of the pandemic, which has burned up savings and taken some of our loved ones. Listen to this.
We are experiencing, hopefully, but not certainly, the end of a pandemic, which initially, when it was declared a pandemic, some of the experts thought it would be gone by May, it would be gone by September. It is now on the verge of 2023. It has been with us for years. It has punched us like a hit in the solar plexus. It has burnt up our savings. It has taken some of our loved ones. We have been asked.
Understand what took place in Trinidad and Tobago, like any other country around the world with the COVID-19 pandemic. But we are living in reality. We need critical thinkers. We need decision makers. With critical thinking, decision making, then we can hope. Then we can have faith. And then we can do that. Then the citizens can hope that the Minister of Finance would rethink his decision. Not making foolish statement like you all just heard. Caller, good night.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Saeed.
Go right ahead, you're live on Real Talk.
Mr. Saeed, I would like the country in a whole to know through your show, sir, that Mr. Colin Imbert hates Trinidadians and Tobagonians. This man have a natural hate for us. And our Prime Minister cannot see that. Why our Prime Minister cannot see that? You know why? Because he wants we to have faith, but it's not faith, it's hate. It's not faith, it's hate. Now how could you tell me that I must have faith in the country and faith in my leaders, and you lying to me on public television? You lying to me on public television. I remember you told me that you wasn't going to close down Petrotrin. And I see Petrotrin closed down. I see a sour deal with $480 million in the oil, some oil thing in the company there. Where that money gone? Now you're talking about commissioner of inquiries for the people that died. The people that died, I said this in your show already. They die in the line of duty. These fellas are heroes. And people to find out who caused it is. It's not about a cause. Mr. Saieed Ali, every job I have, it's emergency and all the rest of different things in it. Things that happen, it's a job site. Who paid for all that? Who paid for all these reputable people like Prakat Ramada, Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, this commissioner, the chairman? Who paid for all that? Why do not answer our question? And sir, the day that Mr. Rowley and Mr. Colin Imbert could take cash money from their pocket and go in the gas station and line up like me and put gas is the only time I will justify the raising of gas in this country and where the subsidy is concerned. You don't tell me about what you doing with our subsidy. That is our money. And if we citizens of the country, the gas, the oil, the petrol, the methanol, everything is we own. We are the citizens of the country. What you telling me that you must not subsidize TNTech, and you must not subsidize gas, and you must not subsidize water for the citizens of this country? Mr. Saeed, we forefathers come a long way. A long way in this country, and we still continue to build this country. Nothing from them.
Thank you, my friend. So I'm going back to the story with Imbert. He stated that the increase had a small effect on the inflation numbers, but increase in taxi fare is what caused the problem. Listen to this carefully, Trinidad and Tobago. Listen to this.
Madam Speaker, it is always unfortunate when honorable members opposite do no research, do not read, do not bother to understand anything, check nothing, misquote, misinterpret, misstate, and also make statements that make no sense. The actual increase had a very small effect on the inflation number, but subsequent increases in taxi fares and transport rates is what caused the problem. That is what happened, and unfortunately, that is what happens in this country. The cost of fuel for a trip may go up by 10 cents, but the taxi fare may go up by $1, $5, $10. Unfortunately, that is what happens in Trinidad and Tobago.
So, Imbert, let me do the maths. Let me do the maths. Let the PNM citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, you all do the maths. I want you to understand this. The PNM taxi drivers, we ain't talking no racialness. We ain't talking racism. But that is your MP. We being real here. This is real talk. You support the PNM party. I have nothing against it. But listen to what this MP is saying. You should not have raised your price. So what are you going to tell your minister now? What are you going to tell your minister now? I want to hear somebody say something. Director, I want to hear somebody say something. So all those taxi drivers who voted PNM, I have nothing against you, understand what I'm saying. But we're talking facts here now. This PNM minister, Colin Imbud, which is the Minister of Finance, is telling you, the PNM supporters who work taxi, you should not have raised your price. That's what's caused the problem. Or let's say something now. Or let's say side by talking PNM now. Or let's say side by talking Mr. Imbud, who's our PNM minister. Or let's say something. And this is what I say on my program. I have nothing with PNM, I have nothing with UNC, and neither any other party in Trinidad and Tobago. What I do have a problem with is that when you hear you hold a certain portfolio being a minister, and you're not carrying out your duty being that minister, holding that portfolio for your constituency, that is where my problem comes in. That is where my problem comes in. So tonight I just switched it up a bit. 2 minutes, 1 minute. Viewers, we are out of time for tonight, but just in this. Oh God, I can't say we're continuing it tomorrow night. Because tomorrow night is our Friday night is our parent session tomorrow night. Trying to make it going to be a blast tomorrow night. A blast tomorrow night. Remember, I'm Saieed Ali. You have Real Talk with Saieed Ali. And Friday is our parang night. Lots of entertainers. Lots of them. Until we meet again, good night.